Good afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon here. My name is Sam, and this is By Hook or By Needles. Today, I am working on the second part of our all-in-one granny stitch baby, or 12-month-old baby cardigan. And you can see how it's sort of going to fold like that. Um, and I've marked these two stitches here because that's where I'm going to start my sleeve increase. Now, I did this a lot of ways before I settled on this one. Um, it just seemed to sit better, and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, if I can get that. This is my sample one that I did frogged and not frogged, frogged so many times it wasn't funny. So this is what it's going to sort of look like. Hang on, fold it properly. There we go. Okay, so there we are. See, and the sleeves just really come out horizontally, which is what I really wanted to happen here. So that is why I finally decided on this method. And yeah, I mean, this is really tiny. This is just, I guess it might fit a newborn, but I don't know. It was just me playing around, trying to get that increase correct. So today we are going to do the increase. And we're really very, very close to finishing. I have done basically 12 rows of granny stitch, um, starting with 72 chain plus one stitch, which is basically 73 stitches. You kind of lose one stitch when you do the beginning. So that's 1, 2, 3, and that goes up. And on this side, you've got 1, 2, 3, and then you've got an extra stitch, but that gets negated in the next row, and that comes straight up. Okay, so you end up, or you should end up with 72 stitches again. And this is where it becomes important that it's divisible by 4. Remember I said the reason I've settled on a multiple of 12 was so that it was divisible by 3, which is our granny stitch cluster, and also divisible by 4, where this is where the 4 comes into it. Now, you can look at this and say, well, that's only 3. You divided it into 3. Yes, I have, but the back panel here counts as 2. So effectively, you're dividing it into 4 little sections. Okay? I hope that makes sense, because you want it to sort of be all fitting. So I've already marked my 18th stitch. Now, oh, well, thank you, Joey. Yes, you're going to knock things flying? I don't know. We'll see. So I count this as a stitch. Oh, dear, he is going to come and visit. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Furry Butt. He's very fluffy and furry. Thank you. You're going. Off you go. Okay, good. Sorry about that. That was Joey making a cameo again. All right, so we're going to count this as one stitch. Okay. And so we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17, and this one here is an 18th. Now, it's important that you do the first row of the increase on a row that starts with just one stitch and then a gap and a cluster. You can't, for example, start it on this row, which starts and ends with a cluster. It won't quite work out the way I have it working out here. So I'm just going to show you how we do this row. I'll show you how I do the first row of the increase to start off. So let's start off with a chain of 3. We turn. We're going to go in here and do 2 more stitches. Okay, and I'm just going to work my granny stitch all the way to my stitch mark. No, I don't need 4. Oh dear, now my cat's over there having a complaint. They finally settled down, so I thought I'd take advantage of the peace and quiet and not being annoyed so much and do the video to finish this off. And I do hope this isn't too dark. The sun might come around or come out from behind a cloud soon. That may help. Okay, so we're working up to that stitch marker. So I'm going to, just before the stitch marker, yes, I'm going to work a granny cluster or granny stitch, whatever you want to call it. And then into that middle stitch, I'm going to work a V-stitch. Okay, now I'm not going to go into the top of the stitch there. Let me see if I can show you this a little bit better. I'm not going to just go into there because that sort of puts it to one side. I'm actually going to work it into there. Can you see the difference? I'm going to work it into there, and that centers it a lot more. Whereas if you work into there, I mean, you can work into there, that's fine as well. It's just not going to be completely centered, but that's okay as well. You know, it doesn't really, I mean, you're talking millimeters here, so it doesn't really matter. It's just my preference, just the way I work things. So I'm going to work a V stitch into there, which is a double crochet, 2 chain, and a double crochet back into there. Okay, and that is the first row of the increase. That's preparing us for what will come next. And, you know, it just sits a little bit up from the rest of the crocheting. And I'm just going to work to the next one. Whoops, cat hair everywhere now that he's walked across. And I'll just stop just before here so that I can show you again how to do it. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I'm just before my stitch marker again. So I'm going to do a double crochet into, I'm sorry, a cluster, granny cluster into there. And then I'm going to once again work into the middle stitch. And like I say, I'm going to pick up this loop as well. Rather than just these 2 loops, I'm going in here just so it's more centered and with a V stitch. So that's a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. And then I finish off the row as usual. Okay, I will come back again when we are at the second row of the decrease, and then after that it's just a matter of following your nose really. So I will just pause again and meet you back here when I come back the other direction. Okie dokie, there we go. I've started my row again. I've worked up, and I'm just going to do a normal cluster into the second last space before the V stitch. So I'm just going to do a normal, and I'm sorry, I'm working over and under at the moment. I've got amigurumi on my brain, and so I keep pulling the yarn through under. I can't remember how it works out, but I realize I am switching between the two. It's not going to make any difference really. But anyway, just to let you know, I am aware of that. But it's not going to change anything. So, okay, now, so here we go. Here we go. We've got our V stitch. We've got a space on either side of our V stitch. So what I'm going to do is into this space, I'm going to work what I would call a corner. Okay, so it's 3, and chains, you can do 2 chain, you can do 1 chain, whichever is normal for you. I'm going to just do, I think, 1 chain, and then I'm going to finish the corner off with 3. So it's slightly full, but there we go. So we've got a corner stitch. Into the V, I'm just going to work a normal cluster. I'm sorry about all the cat hair. That one, he sheds like nobody's business. And then into the next space, I'm going to do another corner. Okay. So go 1, 2, 3, 1 chain, or you can do 2 chain if that's what you normally do. No hard and fast rules here. In fact, if you want to do a chain between every cluster, if you want, you can do that. It'll just make it maybe a little bit wider, a little bit gappier. But if you're happy with that and that's the way you normally do things, that's fine. You know, there are no hard and fast rules really with certain things in crochet. Okay, so there I have done my second row of my increase. And this is how it is going to, I'm just going to mute that because I just realized that's not muted and I need it muted, otherwise I get ping pongs. All right. Row here. It's going to get wider between our 2 corners because we're going to always do a corner in a corner. Okay, and then as you can see that the next time I come back, I'm going to have 2 spaces to work a granny cluster stitch into. And then the next row will be 3 between the corner stitches. So that's how the sleeve grows. I will just work down to the next increase and show you once more how we get this done, just so you can see it again. Here we are again at the next increase. So I've got my 2 spaces on either side of my V-stitch. I'm going to work into each of these 3 spaces. The first one is going to be a corner. Chain of 1. Once again, you can do a 2 chain if you want. And I apologize if the camera angle has changed dramatically. My dad's mowing my lawns and the cats have decided it's time to scatter, and they both bumped the camera on the way through. So I have no idea if its angle or whatever has been changed too dramatically. I think it has because now I can see the edge of my table. But yeah, cats, eh? All right, so that's my 1 corner. Then into my V-stitch, I'm just going to do a cluster. Now again, the reason why I've done it this way is because if you come back to this one, fold it in half, you can see how it's really brings it right down and over. It brings it into more of a corner angle, a corner square, corner 90-degree angle, whatever you want to call it. Rather than if I did these down here without the V, it would still come out, but it wouldn't be as dramatic. Like I say, I did try this increase at least half a dozen or a dozen ways, so, and I just liked this one best. Okay, so we spaced before our V-stitch, we've got 2, double cluster. We've got a corner with 1 chain, then we just got a cluster into our V, and then we're just doing another corner into the next space. Grab the yarn would help. All right, 3, 1. Okay. All right. Now, before I break again to come back, I want to show you this that I found. Pictures, pictures, pictures. Minimize, maximize. Okay, now I'm not sure. I'm hoping you can read this. There's all these measurements again, and right down here it says upper arm width. Now keep in mind these are in inches, so I'm going to convert them to centimeters. But the upper arm width, and I take it to the 12 month because that's the size I'm doing, and I come down, and it says 7 inches. Now 7 inches ends up being just under 18 centimeters. And if you've got a curvy metal um, measuring tape or even a cloth measuring tape and you do a circle, you can see that, yeah, okay, they're talking about the circumference of the upper arm. And they've just used the term width, which can probably be perhaps a little bit confusing because I think of width as a flat measurement. But yeah, so this is what this tells me is the upper arm measurement that is needed. So this is what I'm going to do. So this is my 7 inches, and if you, as you see, whoops, as you can see, that's sort of the circumference. I don't know, it probably shows up better on that. Maybe no, circumference of a baby's arm. You could see that that would be a good circumference for babies, a 12-month-old's upper arm. So how do we get this? How do we make our increase to suit this? Well, because we are working flat, what we're going to need to do is from our increase, because this is our underarm, okay, which we can fold like this. Whoops, where's my hook gone? I've lost my stitch. Hang on. All right, so if you hold it like this as that, we need the circumference here to be just under 18 centimeters or just on 7 inches. All right, so we need the circumference to be, so if we're looking at this way, we need the circumference to be 7 inches. So to get the height or how many rows we need, we will halve that. Okay, you following? If you're not following, please just let me know in the comments and I'll try and explain it differently or better. So our height, because of the way it grows that way. We've got one row here of the increase, and that's the other row. So we're going to halve this to 3.5 inches, which works out to be just about 9 centimeters. So I'm going to take it from the V-stitch. So we're going to need 9. Now you're saying, well, that's half, Sam. That's not the full circumference. No, it's not. But this is worked in the flat. So when you join the two sides together, in total, if you measure from here all the way around to here, you are going to have 18 centimeters or 7 inches. So I've already got, 3 centimeters done, which is, let's have a look, just over an inch. So to get 9 centimeters, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, I'm counting it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to need 8 rows in total to continue. I've already got 1 done. So I'm going to do, did I say 8? Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we've already got 1 row done. I'm going to do 7 more rows. Okay, I'm going to do 7 more rows doing the increase as we get to it. We are always going to put a corner in a corner, and then we're going to put clusters or granny stitches in the spaces in between. Now I'll go down and come back, and I will just show you once how we do that, but it's just following the rows, and I'm going to do a total of 9. Did I say 9 yet? No, 8. I'm going to do a total of 8 rows, and I'm counting this as my first, even though I measured from here. Counting this as my first, so I'm going to do 9 rows, and that will be pretty much this thing finished, apart from the edging and joining the shoulder seam. Okay, so I will be back just to show you how to do this increase, and that will stay sort of pretty much the same every row. Now, keep in mind, I am doing this for a 12-month-old. So I'm going to just do 9 rows in total from the sleeve increase up. You may need, obviously, to do a lot more if you're doing it for an adult. What you will do is you will measure the circumference of their upper arm, and you will divide that by 2. Then you will look at how many rows that works out to be, and then you will do the many rows. And if you can try it on the person, you would then fold it and try it on, or you would just hold it up or wrap it around their arm. If the arm, put their arm in there and wrap it around to see how that is going to fit. Okay, so here we're coming up to my corner. I'm going to just do a normal cluster before the corner. Here's my corner. So it's 3 chain 1 and then 3 double crochet. You can do a chain 2, you can do a chain 3, you can do whatever you like. I would suggest maybe a chain 3 might be too much, but if that's what you're used to and that's how you want to do it, then who am I to stop you? Hey? Okay, so now this is how you're going to do every row when you come to the increase. You're going to put a corner into your corner. See how I've done that? A corner into my corner. Now I've got 2 gaps, and I'm going to put 3 stitches in each of those 2 gaps. So effectively I'm putting a granny stitch cluster into each of the next 2 gaps. And now I'm at my corner again. So I'm going to do 3, chain 1 and 3, all in the same space. And then 3 straight into the next space. And just continue on till I get to the other increase and do exactly the same. And every row after this, I will do exactly the same. And you can see that it's getting larger between the 2 corners, and each time you do a row, you will end up with more spaces, more clusters, and that is how you grow your height. And I'll show you what I mean by that, because once again, if you fold it in half there and you bend it down, you've got 1, 2 rows here, as well as 2 rows for the length. See how that's worked? So if we get our tape measure, we can see that we've now done 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches of the 3.5 inches, or, oh goodness, 9 centimeters we need to do. Okay, all right. So I'm going to actually join you now when I'm actually finished and ready to show you how we join the top seams of this cardigan. Now you can sew it if you wish. I almost never sew my items. I don't sew crocheted items, and I don't sew crochet knitted items. I crochet the sides together. I just find it quicker, easier. You don't have run out of yarn and have to rethread another needle and create another knot and create another piece to sew in. You can just keep going from your yarn ball until you've sewn in all the ends. Okay, so I'm going to join you when I'm ready to do all of that. Here we are, back again, and I have now finished my sleeves. Now, I think I said before the break in the video that these were, I was going to do 8 rows and I was going to do 7 more. And I said I wasn't going to count this one, but I am counting this one because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what happened. If I count this one, because that is really where the increase starts. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it gives me the 8 rows that I estimated I would need. And if you flatten the sleeve out, you get a measurement of 19 centimeters, which is 7.5 inches. And if I look at the wrist here is telling me that it's 5.25 inches. Okay. 5.25, which is there. Oops, you can't see what I'm pointing at. So it's telling me it's 5.25 inches. So I'm assuming that means diameter. And the neck width, it is saying is 3.5 inches. So let's go back to our cardigan. So 5.25 takes us to about here for the wrist diameter. So our sleeves a little bit bigger than that, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. That's fine. The length of the sleeve from there to there is 9 centimeters. Now the length of, let's go back to the other one again. The length of the sleeve, upper arm next, where is it? The sleeve isn't there, not the measurement I want. Sleeve, oh no, they got sleeve length underarm to wrist. Now this is a dodgy measurement because it's missing the number there, but I'm assuming the number there is a 6 because obviously as they get bigger, the number gets bigger. So it's got to be between 6.5 inches and 8 inches. But because the neck size, going this way is like sort of 7, the upper arm width, I'm going to place this in between. So it's either going to be 6 3/5 or 7 3/5. Either way, it's either too close to one and too close to the other. So, but I'm gonna call it 6 3/4, I think, which and the measurement I've got is 3.5 inches. That's how long my sleeve currently is. Okay, so the sleeve needs lengthening. If you don't want it to have an elbow, if you don't want it to be like a t-shirt, you don't want it to be a elbow length sleeve. So you can, excuse me, I'm going to have to cough, hang on. It just never ends. It's automatically, yeah. So yeah, so that's, I think, wide enough, more than wide enough. You could possibly do a decrease if you wanted, but I'm going to leave it at elbow length, so it'll be match the one I sort of done for my daughter. Oops, sorry, I'm spitting everywhere now. And now what I've done here is I put a stitch marker here and here, and that's going to be my gap for the neck. I think that's wide enough. It's probably a little bit wider than you need it, but do remember I'm going to do an extra row all the way around all the edges, including the cuffs, the neck, the front, and the bottom, with a row of half double crochets. So that will add a little bit more to that. Okay, so how do we join? Well, let's go over here. There is no real wrong side or right side at this stage, because you're turning every row, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to just, as it's pinned this way, this is the way I'm going to do it. Where's my yarn? Here's my yarn. And like I say, I don't sew edges together. I crochet the edges together, and this is how and why I do it. So if you look, we've got the top. Now I'm going to try and get closer if I can. If you look here, we've got the tops of our double crochets and the tops of our chain. You can see the chain is a V there. That's 1, 2, 3 stitches. Damn cats. And then you can see also the tops of these stitches. There's the chain top, and then the 1, 2, 3. You can see that these are sort of V's pointing that way. So what I normally do when I join is I take the back loop of the row facing me, and then I also take the front loop of the back, the second part, which is facing me. So it's the back loop of this one and the front loop of this one. But if you turn that around, it's technically the same. It's the back loop of this one and the front loop of that one. You follow? It's actually doing the back loop of each. I hope that's understandable. I hope I haven't confused anybody there. If I have, let me know. So what I normally do is, if I'm going into the center, I actually go into the full center, and I'm just starting with a slip stitch. And that's what I'm going to do all the way across, is slip stitches. I'm going to join this together by going, I want to get, come on, focus, 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 focus. It's going to be as focused as it's going to get, isn't it? Doesn't want to play nice. All right, so I'm going into, this is my first stitch. Okay, I'm taking the back leg of that, and then I'm going into the loop there, which if you turn around, it's the back loop of that stitch. So it's 2 back loops together, the 2 closest loops of the V's together. I'm going to pick up my yarn, and I'm going to pull through and do a slip stitch. I'm going to go to the next one and do the same. The 2 closest parts of the V, pick up a loop and pull through. You want to try and do this reasonably loose. These 2 stitches are probably a bit too tight, so I need to loosen up a little bit. But you're only picking up one leg of the V from each one, and that leaves another leg laying down, just left there. And I'm just going to pull it through, all through as a slip stitch. I'm not doing a single crochet or anything like that. This is how I am joining it. I'm pulling it straight through. And I'm going to just do this all the way across till I get to the stitch marker where I stop, because that is where I'm going to start my neckline. And I think this just gives a really nice, pretty finish. It also kind of makes it reversible, so there is really no wrong or right side. So unless you're going to put buttons on or a motif on it or anything like that, it's not going to be, noticeable either way. It's one of those sort of joins that you could just, it looks good on either side. And I'll show you what the opposites. So this side is, is okay. And then if you look at it from the other side, it's okay too. I mean, you can just decide which side you want to be the front. I would use this as the front. So I'm actually working with the front side facing out. That's just my preference. You might prefer to do it differently. You might prefer to do a single crochet to join them. That's perfectly okay. You might do a zigzag slip stitch join. That's okay. You might decide that you want to sew it. Once again, perfectly okay. However you wish to join the top of the sleeves is perfectly okay. There are no hard and fast rules here as to how things must be done. This is just, doing what is in your comfort zone, doing what you enjoy doing, or doing what you find is easiest for you to do. I'm just doing it the way I do it, and yeah, I suggest you do it the way you enjoy doing it, or you find the best way to do it. So I've got 3 more stitches left, and I've actually got my thread that I've tied in, so it's going to make this a little bit trickier, I think. You can see where I've sewn in my end already. So, I think it's under there and there. Yeah, under that, and then under. And where am I? It's 1, 2. I've got one more to do. Yep, which is that one. Okay, and that one. Okay. Then I'm going to do a chain, just one single chain. I always finish with a chain before I pull through. Once again, we don't have to. You might just want to pull through, and you can do that as well. I'm going to sew these 2 ends away, and then I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to show you how I do. I'm going to do the other side off camera, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how I do all the edging. All right. Okay, what I'm going to do is show you now, just very quickly, how we do the edge for the bottom and the top near the neckline, and how I do the sides. So I'm just going to start just around here. I'm going to come around the corner to show you how I do the corners and how I do the side, and then I'm going to go off camera and finish it all, and it will be finished. How you do the top and bottom will be the same for around the cuff. So let's just have a quick look at that and see how we go. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to go into the stitch base, because this is the base of the stitch, with a half double crochet, standing half double crochet, then into the next stitch, standing half double crochet. Why half double crochet? Because I prefer them to single crochets. It's the only reason, really. So if you want to do single crochet edging, you can. It's just really, once again, personal preference. So I just into the base of every stitch, just a half double crochet. I don't do a half double crochet in the in between, just into the space of the stitches, or into the stitches. And then of course when you get to the last stitch, okay, which is actually a chain, I think that's a stitch, or is that a chain? No, that's a stitch. And I'm just going to go into the stitch there at the base, or you can go into the corner, into the space. This is probably the only time that you could go into the space, and just do, I'm just going to do 1, 2, and 3. That is my corner. Okay, so I'm coming up the sides. In each of these, I'm going to put 2 half double crochets, and this I'm going to put 1 half double crochet. So just going to do 1, 2 half double crochets there, 1 half double crochet there, 2 half double crochets there, and then we get to the stitch here. Now you can go around the stitch, or you can go into the stitch. I'm just going to go around the stitch. Once again, I'm just going to do 2 half double crochets, and then 2 half double crochets again. So you're going around the chains, or the single double crochets with 2, and you're just going around the stitches, last stitch with 2 half double crochets as well. And that is the way I am doing my edge. You can do the edge any way you want. You might decide that if you're, I mean, this is for my grandson, so I don't want anything sort of too lacy or fancy, but if you were making one for a girl, you might want to make it a nice shell edge, or a nice lacy edge. You can do anything like that if you wish. So I'm going to pause here. I've shown you how we do both the end of the row edging, and how we do the top and bottom of the row edging is just merely working into the top and or bottom of the stitch. And I'm just going to work all the way around the neckline, and around, come back down and around the bottom, and meet back where I started. And then I'm just going to do the same, a quick row of half double crochets around the cuffs, and then I'll come back with the finished project with all the ends sewn in. Back in a bit. And here we are at the end. I have just done a half double crochet border all the way around, also on the cuffs, and we have an all-in-one. Oh, I missed an end. I'll grab that one in a minute. An all-in-one sleeves attached, not added on afterwards type of thing. All-in-one granny stitch cardigan for 1-year-old, but it is customizable as shown at the beginning of video 1 to any size you like. Yeah, I will be finishing off my daughter-in-law to be's cardigan next, and then I'm going to be doing another baby one like this, I think, in the rainbow colors as well. Please, thanks for watching. Give me a thumbie if you liked what you saw, and make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any future makes. Yeah, I thank you for watching. And what's next? What's next? I don't know. Well, I do know. I've got some ideas of what's next, but I don't want to say what's next until I've actually started, and yeah, in case I don't finish it. Okay, bye for now, and I will see you next time. Bye.